All right, this is going to be the final video in this series. We've covered the first 5 steps, and now we need to cover the last 2. And so we're going to bundle them together, and you'll see why in a second. Let's go through our steps one more time. Try to discover life, ping, nmap-sp, other techniques. We're looking for live machines. We can't be scanning for hundreds of machines all the time. So we look for life. Once we find life, step 2, we look for open ports, something that could be of interesting. If we do a -st, we're using a 3-way handshake, could be a little loud, could be a little verbose. We could try to, step 3 would be, let's be a little stealthy here. Let's use the standard default of just doing syncs, or what is often referred to as just the 2-way part of the 3-way handshake. Step 4, we did some banner grabbing, i.e., we looked for the operating system on those given devices. 5 was huge. 5 was looking for vulnerability scanning. We just took a cursory look at the different vulnerability scripts that are out there. If we do a -sc, it's going to use the most common of the default scripts. That's going to go through all those open ports or those ports that are available on a given machine and look for particular vulnerabilities. That there is just so much information out there about scripts, script writing that's well beyond the scope of this class. It's pretty intense, we'll say. So now we're up to step 6. Now step 6 really isn't a step like it's not a sequential step. Actually, most of these steps are not really sequential steps, meaning you have to do 1 to do 2 to do 3. Step 6 is basically while you are doing this, you're mapping the network. I happen to be only on the same network as my target, but what if my target was on a different network and I had to jump over routers? I need to keep track of that. I need to map all that. So as I was doing this stuff, I was writing down the numbers, I was writing down the pathways, I was seeing what networks were out there. That's step 6. Now we're really at step 7. Step 7 is another one of those, we should have been doing this the whole time. And in step 3, we talked about being stealthy. Step 4, and I'm sorry, step 3, we were being stealthy. We were trying to be as quiet as possible. Step 7, we kind of want to hide. We want to cover our tracks. We want to divert people's attention. A lot of these attacks, when we were running them, would be extremely aggressive. The IDSs would go crazy, and the way we were doing them, they would know who to look for. That's probably the key here. I was launching from a given machine, and the responses were coming back to that given machine. That could easily be discovered. That has nothing to do about being stealthy. That's just kind of being silly. So we want to do a couple things. The easiest thing we're going to do is slow things down a little bit. Kind of falls into the stealthy and hiding, where if I launch an attack at maximum speed, then the IDSs are just going to say there's something truly abnormal going on here, right? So maybe not launching at maximum speed. And so we can give it a time parameter. If we do a -T, I'll do a demonstration in a second. If I do a -T and I give the numbers 1 to 4, 1 being the slowest, 3 being the normal amount, 4 being as quickly as possible. If you run it with a 1 or a 2, it's going to slow down considerably, right? Which is in reality very good. We don't want to be launching attacks so rapidly, that old the bull in the china shop. We want to slow things down a little bit here. But then there's another technique we can use. We can use decoys. We know that our target machines have to respond back to us. Why don't we give it a bunch of fake IP addresses that it's also responding to? So when these IDS, when the intrusion detection systems start going, wait a second, who's really launching this attack? I got 4, 5, 10, 15 different IP addresses that the target is being, that is sending the information back. So we could deploy kind of a decoy method. So let's run through all the steps one more time, wrap up this video. Let's head up to my screen. Step 1, we are going to do just a live scan. We're looking for life here. We're going to do a ping scan. We're going to do the entire network. All right. All right, so we found the given machines, hosts are up. Now we're going to do port scans on a given range. Let me clear my screen. ST. Yeah, we'll give it we're not going to give it the full range. We know it's between 1 and 10. So let's scan the ports on 1 to 10. We're doing a -ST. That's a 3-way handshake. Give it some time. All right. It found a whole bunch of information that we're really kind of curious about. All right. So that was step 2. Step 3, we want to start being a little bit or understanding the stealth aspect of it. We should have been doing stealth from day 1, from step 1, but let's be stealthy here. We're going to do nmap-ss. That means send it 2-way to the 2 parts of the 3-way handshake. We are going to just do the one machine that is of real interest to us. Give it a second. So we got stealth. Let's perform a banner grabbing or fingerprinting that particular machine. So we're going to say nmap-s-o, uppercase O for find me the operating system, 10.0.0.4. That's kind of our big target that we're interested in. All right. So it's telling us we're at Linux. Let's do a vulnerability scan. All right. We'll be a little bit aggressive on this vulnerability scan. And we'll say nmap-a for aggressive or everything or whatever. And 10.0.0.4. Do it verbosely. Pretty aggressive. Again, we're gathering this information. We wouldn't do it this fast. I'm going to keep reiterating that. The whole time that we'd be doing this, step 6, we're doing a network map. Now let's do some decoys. Let this finish up first. And before we do the decoy stand, I'm going to go actually to the target, the specific target, just to kind of launch something. Obviously, you would not do this in the real world, but I want to show you how the target behaves. So I'm going to pull some information from previous lectures. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this TCP dump on this particular, on target, I think this is target 6. On target 6, I'm going to run the TCP dump, which means target 6 is going to show me what it's doing, how it's behaving during these attacks. So if I hit it, it's not doing anything right now. It's waiting for it's waiting for life, we'll say. Now I'm going to go back to the first machine here, and I'm going to make some very subtle adjustments here. I'm going to use nmap, and I'm going to say -t1. That is going to slow down this attack. Remember, IDSs want to look for abnormalities. So if I can slow down this attack, maybe I can fly under the IDS's radar. I'll do the exact same things I did before, but this time I will do the stealth scan. There's S and S, and what I'm doing here, you know what? I'm going to look for open ports. Okay, let's do the open ports, and so I'll do an SST, and I'll say 10.0.0.6. Right. So when I hit enter, you notice, first of all, it's kind of slowing down here. Let's go back to the victim. Not a lot of stuff is happening. Okay, little burst there. kind of taking its time. Now, we're not going to run this whole thing, all right? This just would take too long because we slowed down the attack, and that's the key here. In a real situation, in the wild, this would be completely acceptable. I would turn it on, walk away, maybe come back an hour later, a day later, something later, a long enough time. So again, we're trying to fly underneath the IDS radar. But notice, I'm going to stop it. Notice this, all right? Where are we? I just saw it. Oh, here. That's my address. That's the address that I launched the attack from. This is the victim's address, 10.6, and actually we'll look at this one right here. This ARP request is basically saying this machine, machine number 2, is talking to this machine here, machine number 6, is talking to machine number 2. So 10.0.0.6 is talking to 10.0.0.2. And same thing, the 10.0.0.2, that's my launch machine. That's my attacker machine. 10.6 is the victim. Sorry for a little confusion there. Now, let me go back to my launch machine and let me just break this, right? Way too slow for this demonstration. Real world application, absolutely. Remember, this is step 7. We're trying to hide our tracks. We're trying to cover our tracks, maybe push them into another direction. Let me go back to the attacking machine and let me do that TCP dump again. So it's sitting here and it's waiting, and I'll go back to my attacking machine. Now I'll be really aggressive. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be very, very aggressive in this attack. I'm going to say nmap-T4, uppercase T, T4. That's very fast. Now, again, you go up to nmap.org, you look up these switches. There's so much you can do here. But just saying, launch this attack very, very quickly. But here's where it's going to get interesting. I'm going to do a -D, again, sorry for the dark purple there, and I'm going to give it a bunch of decoy addresses. Maybe they're real, maybe they're not real, but I'm going to give them a bunch of decoy addresses. I'll say the first address is 10.0.0.10. We're going to send to 10.21.63.59. Got to be separated with comma, not a space. 10.21.63.59. How about we'll send it to 107.5.67.12. I'm just making numbers up in my head, but I want you. We'll send one more to 10.0.0.11. Those are all decoy addresses. And we are going to do, just for demonstration purposes so we don't have to see a whole bunch of clutter, we're going to do the stealth scan. All right, standard stealth scan, dash lowercase s, and now we're going to give it the victim. Remember, the victim is 6 because I ran that TCP dump, and let's hit enter. Pretty quick there. Let's see what shows up on 6. A lot of information showing up on 6 here. Let me scroll up. It's responding to a lot of machines. I'm scrolling up. Give me a second. Don't have to, but I figured, all right. There's my 10.10, 10.10.0.10. There's my 10.21.63.59. There's my 107.567.5.7.12. These are all decoy addresses. So even if the IDS, the intrusion detection system, starts going crazy here, it becomes more difficult for them to handle it. Now, if I combine slowing things down and combine it with decoy addresses, you can see how we are beginning to hide our tracks, where this is coming from. Now, obviously, we would give considerable thought to what decoy addresses we would want. We would want them potentially in a range. We don't want them close to the real address, but we don't want to, make the idea said, they all kind of fall in this address, or it's very near this address. So let's recap. This is the EH Council's methodology for scanning. We have find life, discover open ports, be stealthy, perform OS detection, banish scanning, look for vulnerabilities, map your network the whole time you're doing all this, and then finally, as we were doing this, be as sneaky as possible using decoys, slowing things down. So you can see that 6 and 7, why I combined this final video, because 6 and 7 really kind of go together. These are things you would be doing throughout this entire process, not just, oh, I've done all this really loud things, now it's time to be quiet. No, you would be doing this the whole time. So that being said, let's go out and learn something.